entitled Agile and Lean Concept for Teaching and Learning, Bringing Methodologies from Industry to the Classroom, by David Parson and Catherine McCollum, was organized into a number of sections, beginning with chapters that provide various overviews of Agile and Lean approaches to education. They include chapters that look at agile methods in the school classroom, followed by a section of chapters that address ways of conceptualizing learning environment using agile and lean approaches. The next section covers agile and lean learning processes and is followed by a section using agile and lean methods to teach software development. They also conclude with several chapters that report on agile and lean activities and games for the classroom.
This book explores the application of agile and lean techniques, originally from the field of software development and manufacturing, to various aspects of education. It covers a broad range of topics, including applying agile teaching and learning techniques in the classroom, incorporating lean thinking in educational workflows, and using team-based approaches to student-centered activities based on agile principles and processes.
About the author, Dr. David Parson is a National Postgraduate Director of MindLab Unitec, by he runs a digital and collaborative learning program for in-service teachers. He holds a PhD in Information Technology or IT and has extensive experience in academia and the IT industry in the UK and Australia. He is the founding editor-in-chief of the International Journal of Mobile and Blended Learning and the author of numerous books, chapters, and articles on various aspects of technology-enhanced learning and the teaching of software engineering. He also has a substantial experience in Agile and Lean software development and provides industry training on applying these techniques. Associate Professor Kathleen McCollum has over 10 years' experience in teaching and research, and a passion of technology and education. Her research focuses on digital and educational technology, and a former practitioner in the information technology or IT industry, she has a strong desire to align these professional IT skills with teaching. With PhD in information system and history of research within the education technology sector, he has authored a broad range of journal papers, book chapters, and conference articles in this area. She also serves as an editor for the three academic education journals.
There is a growing interest in applying both agile and lean concepts in the classroom to improve educational experiences. In this book, we draw together the disparate ideas of these two fields from industrial practice and the existing work within this area to develop and frame the major concepts of agile and lean thinking for learning and teaching.
So what is Agile method? Agile methods for software development evolved as a response to the changing dynamics of the software industry in 1990s. The focus on customer needs and being responsive to changes in requirements at any phase of development were seen as increasingly important. The broader concept of agility emerges from the four values and 12 principles expressed within the Manifesto for Agile Software Development. Although agility itself is not formally defined within the manifesto, its principles only refer occasionally to the agile processes. The concept of welcoming change is embodied within this principle, along with collaboration, motivation, and reflection. Agility within software development is underpinned by this concept to rapidly create, embrace, and learn from change within contributing to perceived customer value. The importance of Agile in education. In a rapidly changing world, education also has a pressing need to do the same. The aspect of change, flexibility, and leanness introduced above are just important in education as for software development. Educators are constantly subjected to change as new and emerging techniques, tools, and ways of teaching are assessed and implemented to support the dynamic needs of today's learners. There are three aspects that must be considered in interpreting Agile practice for teaching and learning. The first one is the Agile values, second one is the Agile practice, the third one is the Agile techniques. Bringing these various ideas together, Agile education might focus on the ideas of an iterative, adaptive process of student-directed learning, built around learning stories created by the students themselves. Students would most likely in pairs and self-organizing teams, providing each team with constant support, feedback, and mutual learning. Regular learning checks would take place through stand-ups and retrospective, giving an opportunity for reflection on learning and embracing change where necessary. Students would be encouraged to develop both skill sets and base their learning on real-world problems. Educators would act primarily as coaches, guiding learners rather than directing them, and the constant emphasis be on meaningful learning above all the concerns.
Example of Agile in education.
So far from the previous discussion, we have learned Agile concepts, the ideas, and how they might be applied to education. We now turn our attention to the concepts and ideas of lean manufacturing and how these have been transferred into the world of software development, and more importantly, on into the world of teaching and learning. So, what is lean and how can it act as a complement to the agile ideas that we have been exploring so far in the previous discussion?
Lean is an approach within manufacturing that has its roots in the Toyota production system from the second half of the 20th century. Lean production was conceptualized as a way to reduce waste, upskill workers, improve quality, and provide more variety in products than was possible with mass production. More recently, it has been applied to the development of software in what might be termed the post-agile period. Since then, many people have been looking for ways of applying these lessons to their own work context by applying lean thinking, which addresses how the lean production ideas from the core industry can be applied to a range of other industries. Lean concept in education. So Woombach defined lean education as three processes. First, designing, second, making, and lastly, using. Breaking this down further, Designing means creating the knowledge to be delivered. Making means providing learning experiences for students, and using means students being able to experience continuous learning. The question here is whether it is possible to make all these processes lean. Bringing such concepts right down to the classroom level, it is possible to assist students to appreciate lean thinking through practical learning activities.
The book also identified specific strategies from Agile methods that could be implemented in the classroom. From an Agile perspective, we looked at values, processes, and techniques. In this section, we analyze lean thinking using related categories such as value, the value stream and perfection, lean processes, and lean techniques.
Three of the original 5 Lean principles outlined by the Lean Enterprise Institute are value, the value stream, and perfection. Value is both the end product and the chain of processes that deliver it. The value stream is each step in the value process, designed to be as efficient as possible in meeting customer expectations, while perfection is pursued through continuous improvement. Next is lean processes. One of the concepts of process that comes from mass production is the batch and queue approach, and we somehow tend to adopt this mass production view in many of education. For example, every semester or term there might be a set of classes over a fixed period of weeks, but this may have no relationship to how long it might take someone to actually learn something. Another example is when we produce a batch of graduating students, but often we do not know whether they are in fact ready to take advantage of the opportunities around them. The 10 steps of Lean process. And lastly, Lean techniques. Pull and flow can be managed in a Lean classroom by using Kanban or visual cardboards, which are one of the most widely used Lean techniques. Kanban boards are similar to the Agile storyboards, but the way that the user's story cards are managed through the process is different because of the focus on pull and flow, concepts that are not specifically applied with Agile storyboards. Another key technique used in Lean is the identification and methodical removal of muda or waste. There are two types of muda. Type 1 muda is the waste caused by fixed components in the way that the system currently operates, for example, an while the student enrollment system or a learning management system with inadequate functionality. In contrast,
Type 2 muda is waste that can be eliminated immediately.
Hi Bill. What's going on today?
Well, I'm very busy working on continuous improvement.
Now that's a topic I love to talk about. What are you working on?
Well, truthfully, I'm trying to figure out how to implement continuous improvement.
Great. You know, that's exactly what I always wish people would talk about in the break room. The usual discussion of what's happening on Dancing with the Stars or American Idol is actually quite boring to me. But Kaizen, that's a topic I can sink my teeth into.
Wait a minute. I didn't say anything about Kaizen. That's a whole other thing. You know, those rapid improvement events are great.
Let me stop you right there. Kaizen is continuous improvement. It literally means good change or change for the better. Kaizen is about many small changes for the better over time.
Oh, I did not know that. That's fascinating. I was actually sitting in my office thinking about how to implement continuous improvement on my production line.
Bill, that was your first mistake. Kaizen cannot effectively be done from your office. Unless, of course, you were trying to improve the processes you do in your office.
Oh. Well, I was thinking about the changes I was going to make, and then I was going to go out and tell my people how I can eliminate waste from their work.
That was your second mistake. Bill, continuous improvement is not done by management to the employees. Continuous improvement is done by the employees.
What is my role in continuous improvement?
Your role? You should be creating the right environment for improvement. Give your employees the tools and blame-free environment needed to make continuous improvement happen.
Blame-free environment?
Right. Employees need to be able to identify problems and bring them to the surface so that they can be solved.
But this isn't about problem solving. It is about improvement.
Actually, they are one and the same. When we are improving, we are solving problems. If we were to really boil it down, problems are essentially things that get in the way of our target condition. Providing defect-free products to our customer when they are needed and in the right quantity.
So, let me see if I understand. I need to give my employees problem-solving skills and a blame-free environment. If I do that, continuous improvement will follow.
Yes. There is more to it than that. But that is a good start.
So, how did you learn so much about continuous improvement?
From my friends at EMS Consulting Group. www.emsstrategies.com. They offer lots of online resources, training, and advisory assistance.
Thanks. I will go check them out. But first, I've got to talk to my employees about this. They were all expecting me to come in and change their processes. What are they going to think now that I am asking them to help?
Trust me. They will be relieved.
It's a little known fact that 80% of the steps in any process are unnecessary. Studies have shown that more than 60% of the cost of a product or service is attributable to administrative processes. Now, what does this have to do with schools and how school districts are ran? One recent study of the Milwaukee public school system found that over $103 million a year could be saved if the district was ran like a well-run business. The study found waste in almost every area, from inefficient payroll processing, all the way down to how maintenance was being performed in the school systems.
Hi, I'm Byron Hedrick, the president of Lean Frog Business Solutions Incorporated. We help organizations every day eliminate wasteful activity, improve efficiency, and reduce variation. How so? We do so using a unique tool set called Lean Six Sigma. Lean Six Sigma is a tool used in most industries and across many government sectors. It focuses on helping organizations do more with less. Simply stated, Lean is a philosophy, a practice that's focused on creating more value for your customers and your students with less work. So your school system right now has limited resources, and expending those resources for any other goal than providing exceptional education for your students, well, that's wasteful. That's what they found in that Milwaukee report. Lean helps you eliminate these wasteful activities, reduce the variation, and take control of your processes so that you can provide exceptional education with the resources that you have available. Lean focuses on 5 key principles that can make an immediate difference in your school system. The first one is that we have to understand fully the value as defined by the end users. End users, that's just a technical way of saying that value has to be defined by your students, by your educators, by your parents, by your community. Now, once we fully understand what is valued by those end users, then we can strive to increase the value and consistently deliver more value than is expected. The second principle is that we have to teach everyone within the organization, from the lunchroom lady to the principal, what that value is. They have to fully understand value and how it's being provided so that we can then listen to their ideas for increasing value. The third principle is we have to eliminate and control all aspects of operational cost. Now that's time, that's energy, and that's money. You see, any of these things that do not directly create, increase, or deliver value, well, these costs are waste, and they get in the way of us providing that exceptional education that we're striving to do. The fourth principle is that we have to understand how value is created throughout the whole organization. When we understand how value is created and how that value actually flows, we can then take that value and systematically optimize it through process. The fifth principle is that we have to measure performance at all levels, both strategic and operational. We have to reward and recognize success, learn from failures fast, then try again. We have to pursue perfection through both continuous incremental and radical improvements. We have to think outside the average school system box. When we apply these 5 principles to any organization, we always find opportunity for improvement, dramatic improvement. No matter if your school system is running well or poorly, you can benefit from the use of Lean Six Sigma to optimize your non-instructional operational processes. When you use Lean Six Sigma to optimize these processes, you get a more engaged workforce that has the ability to continue making improvements going forward. You immediately have more money to invest in your instructional departments so that you can continue to strive to provide that exceptional education that is the goal of any school system. Recently, in the state of Alabama, we, working with one school district, uncovered over $33 million of opportunity through simple work system assessments. Unlike other audits or assessments, Lean Six Sigma doesn't just identify the opportunity. Lean Six Sigma provides a tool set that can be used to eliminate, reduce, and overall continue to improve your school district. Over 50% of Fortune 200 companies and all federal agencies are currently using Lean Six Sigma to make a difference. The question is,
Generally, various concepts were put together to analyze how Agile and Lean methods can effectively transition from context of software development and manufacturing into coherent model of education.
As you can see, the figure shows the major applications of agility and lean education that they have examined, structured around the concepts of values, processes, and techniques. These concepts are expressed as a pyramid where techniques build on processes and processes on values. At each of these levels, They have examined how Agile and Lean practices may usefully transition to the context of teaching and learning.
First is Agile and Lean values, which is summarized as agency, outcomes, and improvement. One of the key concepts from the values and supporting principles of the manifesto for Agile software development is that Agile approaches give agency to both developers and customers. Giving students a similar sense of empowerment and agency over their own learning is an important challenge for 21st century approach to teaching and learning. While developing the broad skill sets encouraged is multi-skilled agile teams also reinforce learner agency. From a lean perspective, it is important to identify the value and the value stream in the educational process to identify the outcomes from each step in learning as well as from the overall experience. Underpinning this people centric approach to skill development is the lean value of perfection, applying both Kaizen and Kaikaku to continually improve the process.
The second one is processes. It emphasizes learner pace, reflection, and iteration. Agile processes include regular evidence of progress and the ability to iterate over and reflect on solutions until they are as good as they can be. Short learning cycles like sprints in Agile software development support a sustainable pace of learning with regular feedback and reflection on actual learning outcomes. The steps in an Agile process allow learners to address a specific learning backlog in manageable and self-directed time boxes. From Lean, the concepts of pull and flow suggest that these processes need to be student-driven and adaptive to student needs by enabling learners to right-size content and learn at their own pace. Learners need to have ownership over their own learning so that they have control over how their learning value stream is constructed. Ideally, learning needs to be able to flow across an integrated learning path that spans multiple institutions in a lean educational enterprise.
Lastly is techniques. It is difficult to focus on a particular subset and regard this as representative of Agile and Lean techniques as a whole because there is so many. However, we consider the most important techniques are those that support collaboration, communication, and problem solving. One of the Agile techniques they have discussed is pairing, which provides inbuilt peer support and collaboration learning. The Kanban board is probably the most common used technique integrated into Agile process, adding the concept of the pull and working process to the management of story cards. Again, it is a practice that provides students with agency over the content and pace of their own learning. It is probably also the most commonly used Lean technique in the classroom, with many teachers using Kanban boards with their students. Another important Lean technique that can work well in education is identifying wasteful practice to try to remove this from the learning value and stream and ensure that all activities that takes place in the classroom and in the administration of learning are worthwhile. The final lean technique included here is contextualizing learning in real-world problem spaces.
In conclusion, this book will provide us an overview of how agile and lean approaches to teaching and learning can be integrated into new ways of thinking that goes on in the classroom and in the wider world of learning. Aside from the concepts we discussed earlier, this book also includes agile methods in the school classrooms, reconceptualizing learning environments using agile and lean approaches, agile and lean learning processes, using agile and lean methods to teach software development, and agile and lean activities and games for the classroom.
This book will truly help us understand how agile and lean techniques are used in educational context. It will truly inspire us, give us greater awareness and interest in agile education and lean learning.